October vibes in April. Yoshinobu Yamamoto shoved and Dodgers pitching looks completely untouchable.
You are Locked On Dodgers, your daily Los Angeles Dodgers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
I'm Harry Ruiz, that's Travis Rodgers, and it's time for Locked On Dodgers. On today's show, a very encouraging update on Mookie Betts. Hyeseong Kim and Alex Freeland are forcing their way into the conversation. But first, the Dodgers pitching staff is absolutely dealing right now. This feels straight up unfair. Let's start with what's driving all of this, Travis. Pitching dominance. Yoshinobu Yamamoto goes back into the Rodgers Center where he last made history and just casually reminds everyone who he is. This wasn't just a good outing. This was control. He retired 12 straight from the second through the fifth. He was basically perfect through five. And even when Toronto finally scratched a run across, it never felt like the game was slipping. That's the key. And Yoshinobu Yamamoto, man, he's the ace of this pitching staff.
Yeah, I think one of the things that I really like about watching him pitch is that even when he gets into a little bit of trouble, and it doesn't happen very often, but even when he does, there was a leadoff double in one inning where all of a sudden it's like, okay, look, more often than not, when there's a guy on second base and nobody out, that run is pretty likely to come in. And with Yamamoto, it's just like, no, that ain't going to happen. And then, 5 seconds later, he's off the field. The Dodgers are back in the dugout, and that guy just stood at second base the entire time. He got a couple of pop-ups. He got a strikeout, and he was off the field like that. That to me is ace kind of stuff. This is that to me is not going out there and just lighting guys up, which he did. It's not going out there and just, shutting people down, which we know he can do anytime. It's those moments where there is a little bit of traffic, a little bit of trouble, and the game's kind of, I don't know if I want to go as far as to say it's hanging in the balance, because it obviously wasn't at that stage of the game, but there's an opportunity for the other team to feel pretty good about themselves, to gain a little momentum, to put a run on the board, to get to somebody like Yamamoto and at least have some feelings in the dugout like, hey, he's not Superman. We can actually score some runs. And then before the thought even fully forms in your head, it's over. He just absolutely takes the bat out of your hands. And, the Dodgers are an incredibly talented team, but I think we've seen it in the last, 3 or 4 days of the variety of ways that they can beat you. They can just bludgeon you over the head with home runs and 15, 16, 17 hits, or they can throw one of these guys out at you and beat you in a 4-1 game and have to kind of scratch and claw, I should say, and kind of just find a way to get through it inning by inning. They don't have to beat you just one way. They can do it a lot of ways. And Yamamoto was just, I'm sure they are very sick and tired of seeing Yoshi in Toronto and probably are looking forward to never seeing him in person again.
Oh, yeah. They're like, please, not this guy, anybody but this guy. And that's where I got a little bit shocked, Travis, that they let Yoshi go out there for the 7th inning, because the 6th is where they scored the run, the Blue Jays did, where he got a little bit of traffic on the bases. And then in the 7th, they let him go out there. Okamoto got a double. Ernie Clement got a bunt ground ball to third baseman Max Muncy and got all the way to first. So you have him first and third, so he gets pulled of the game. In comes Alex Vesia. He walks the first batter he faces and then 3 outs in a row. This series is very, very emotional for him because let's remember, he wasn't able to play in the World Series. His daughter passed away last October and he was left off of the World Series roster because family comes first. And he went out there and you always see that emotion, that excitement of him on the mound. Yesterday, it went on another level. And I'm very happy that he was able to get those 3 outs when it counted most, when the traffic was there and when it was only a 2-run lead at that moment. So shout out to Alex Vesia. Huge outing for him. And this bullpen, Travis, man, I'm excited to see them. I know that it's just 2 weeks, but I love what I'm seeing from these guys.
No, I think of all the units, if you're talking about the offense, the defense, the starting pitching, the bullpen arm, the bullpen has been the most consistent performer for them pretty much across the board. Vesia was really good last night. Blake Trinan looks like the best version of Blake Trinan all over again. I think that's why they were able to send Yamamoto back out. There are a couple of reasons. Number one, his pitch count was still relatively low. It was under 100 pitches. He was pretty efficient through the early part of the game, but the Dodgers know that even if the starter does have a bit of a hiccup, I guess that's what we would call Yamamoto's seventh inning, that they can bring people in there and they're likely to find a way out of the trouble, that they're likely to find a way to get out of there with minimizing or completely eliminating the damage. That typically you come in with nobody out and guys in the corners. That's a pretty tricky spot. And again, those runs are likely to, or at least the runner at third base is very likely to come in. And just as a pitcher, I think you're kind of, triaging some of the situations like, okay, it's 3-0 at this point. Let's see if there's a way to minimize this and just have that runner at third. I'm going to make sure that guy at first doesn't get all the way around, but I'm not going to worry too much about the guy at third. And instead, they're just shutting it down from the jump and not letting anybody in. And it's not just one guy. It's not just like Diaz, who looked pretty good in the ninth inning. It's pretty much all of them. Will Klein has looked really good. Blake Trinan, like I mentioned, has looked good. Vezina has looked good. Tanner Scott has looked pretty good. Pretty much the whole group of them has kind of found their groove early in the season.
No doubt about it. Blake Trinan, he got another clean inning, a 1-2-3 inning. It's his fourth consecutive time coming out of the bullpen this season. Clean inning, no runs. Last year, he only did it twice, where he had a streak of 4 or more games without allowing a run. Now he's done it straight out of the gate for the Dodgers. Edwin Diaz, lights out. Yes, he had a walk, but after that, no problem at all. And now the Dodgers, they just won their 5th consecutive game, all of them on the road. They lock another series, and they have the opportunity to get the sweep with who on the mound? Shohei Ohtani. Good luck, Toronto. Travis, important to say, Yoshinobu Yamamoto, the first Dodgers starter to see the 7th inning in the 2026 season. But Shohei Ohtani, Tyler Glasnow, Yoshinobu Yamamoto, every start that they've had so far this season, they've gone 6. They've had quality outings, and that's what you want from your main guys, from your top dogs in your rotation, because it even puts the bullpen guys in a chiller situation, in a better moment, because how many times has the bullpen have to go out there and be like, man, it's a tight game. And even in those tight games against the Guardians, when the bullpen came in, they were able to give a chance to the bats to still get a comeback. Right now, it's like, hey, the starters are giving them everything they need. And Hiroki Sasaki, Emmett Sheehan, they had a little hiccups here and there. But besides that, then you go with your top 3 dogs, Ohtani, Yamamoto, Glasnow. No problem at all with these guys.
Let's go back to last year, where the starting pitching was not particularly good at certain points of the season, especially early. And the Dodgers had to lean on those guys for a ton of innings. And we saw the price of that as once you got into the middle to the late part of the season, where the bullpen was just completely spent, that there really wasn't anybody down there that you had really terrific feelings about. And it was just an issue of overuse. I'm going by memory here a little bit, but I know as we got close to the end of the season, the Dodger bullpen led all of baseball in innings pitched, and it showed. And it looked like there wasn't a lot of tire tread left on those guys. This has been kind of the opposite of that. Like you just mentioned, most of the Dodger pitchers have pitched reasonably deep into games. It's allowed these guys to stay on somewhat of a schedule in the bullpen. Hard to do in the bullpen, because you're never quite sure when you're going to be needed and which days are you going to be an inning, which days might be an inning and a third or 2/3 or whatever it is. You're never quite sure what you're going to be asked to do. But the way that the starters have gone, you're able to pitch a day, maybe get the next day off, pitch the next day, get the next day off. And if you can find some sort of rhythm out of that bullpen, it's everything. And not just because they're pitching well now, but because you're not being asked for them to redline it in April. By the time you get to June, July, August, September, maybe they're a little fresher than they've been in previous seasons. And, bullpens, like we've talked about, Trinan, I think, is a great example of this. Are really hard to predict. He has been one of the best relief pitchers in baseball at times and been almost unusable at other times. You just never really know what you're going to get. It looks like he's off to a terrific start, so hopefully he kind of keeps it grooving. But I don't know if you're an opposing team where you hope to get to. I mean, you finally knock Yamamoto out of the game, and knock him out of the game is probably an aggressive way of phrasing what they did. He was taken out of the game. And then you're like, okay, here's our chance. And you really don't have much of a chance at all.
So my question for you watching or listening to our show, do you believe this pitching staff is the best in baseball right now? And what impressed you the most about Yamamoto's outing? Drop your take in the comments over on YouTube or let us know on any of our social networks and hit up the Locked On Dodgers listener line, 279-3-LOCKED. I want to hear where you stand. Coming up on Locked On Dodgers, Kim and Freeland weren't just filling in, they were impact players.
Hey, this is Jeff Carr from Locked On Reds, and I've reached the point in my life where my wife and I are looking toward the future. We've got the house, we've got the career, we even have an awesome dog, but now we need to secure that future. That's where Ethos comes in for us. When I look at this insurance or that insurance and I try to pick one, I might as well be reading an entirely different language. Ethos clears up the noise and gets me set up with exactly what I need, because Ethos makes getting life insurance fast and easy, and it's 100% online. You can get a quote in seconds, apply in minutes, and get same-day coverage. Protect your family with life insurance from Ethos now by going to ethos.com/lockedonmlb. In as little as 10 minutes, you can get a free quote and up to $3 million in coverage at ethos.com/lockedonmlb. That's ethos.com/lockedonmlb, ethos.com/lockedonmlb. Application times and rates may vary.
Baseball is finally back, and to celebrate, I'm giving you a full month of the Everydayer Club for free. Go to LockedOnDodgers.supercast.com and use the code FINALLY. You'll unlock every episode ad-free and get access to our private listener group chat. Tap the link in the show notes and use the code FINALLY to claim your first free month. Kim and Freeland are making this decision hard, and this is where things get really interesting because Miguel Rojas was originally in the lineup, but the Dodgers ended up pulling him due to family reasons, and then you had the two guys that were battling for the second base position, the starting spot in spring training, both playing the infield positions for the Dodgers for a second consecutive game, back-to-back starts for Hyeseong Kim. He scores twice. Energy, speed, pressure. Right now, Travis, he's not just filling a spot with Mookie Betts being out. He's creating problems for the opposing team, and I feel that this is what Dodgers fans wanted to see out of Kim, and that's why they were so bothered when he got sent down to AAA to kick off the season. Every time he gets on base, every time he makes contact with the ball, it's danger on the opposing team.
Yeah, he can run like crazy. He's incredibly fast. He's a very versatile player. He's off to a great start. This is what I think the Dodgers are hoping would have happened in the event that they needed to call him back up again, is to make it a difficult decision for Brandon Gomes, make it a difficult decision for Dave Roberts, put pressure on the management structure to say, I have nothing but good options here. That can Kim play at the big league level? Yeah, it looks like it. And if he hits the way he's hit since he's come back, he absolutely can. Can Freeland do it? Yeah, it kind of looks like it. He's got to hit a little bit more, but he obviously brings a level of athleticism to second base that somebody like Miguel Rojas at a different age isn't quite going to bring. Doesn't have the experience, but he can do some things just physically that Rojas probably is not capable of doing anymore. So this is what you're hoping for when you get those guys up, is that it's, hey, whatever we do, we got a pretty good chance to make a good decision. So everybody's doing their job. Kim is making it hard for when Mookie does come back to say who goes down. Maybe it's somebody like Santiago Espinal who is the odd man out if he doesn't hit when he gets his opportunities. It's just, this is why you bring in a lot of good players. This is why when people freak out about somebody getting sent down or whatnot, it's like, just relax, man. This stuff always takes care of itself. Unless you're Hyeseong Kim and you're counting on a major league check, what difference does it make to you, right? Guys will come and go. Guys come up, they go down. And when they're doing it like the Dodgers are doing it right now, and they come up, there's nothing but good options. So it's, Kim did exactly what he's supposed to do. He went down there, didn't make a fuss about it. He got called back up like that. And when he did get a call up, he's performed. And now he puts pressure back on the Dodgers to make the right decision, to make a tough decision. And that's all you could hope for. And they've got two good guys for one spot. And that's a really good problem to have.
Yeah, Santiago Espinal, it feels like he's the insurance policy in case of Hyeseong Kim not performing, Alex Freeland not performing, needing somebody at third base for Max Muncy. Somebody with that versatility, you have Espinal. But if you have Kim and then Freeland, who went 3 for 3 on base 4 times, he was able to produce 2 runs as well, getting 2 runs across the plate on his spikes. That's not just a nice night. That's a statement from him, especially after that struggle he had after his season debut where he had a home run. He had a double, and he helped the Dodgers win that game against the Guardians. Then he went low. He wasn't performing very well. And here you go. Pressure sometimes gets the best out of players. And it's crazy to think, Travis, when you got a lineup with guys like Shohei Ohtani, Freddie Freeman, Will Smith, with all these great players, you're talking about Kim and Freeland being the guys that ended up producing the runs on their shoes, on their spikes across the home plate. And it's like, that's important. That's key for this team, that the bottom of the lineup, that these guys get on base to then have Shohei Ohtani, to then have Freddie Freeman bring them in and across the plate.
That's key for every team, right? Like your stars have to play like stars if you're going to be a good team, whether you're the Dodgers or whether you're the Philadelphia Phillies or the New York Yankees or whatever. Your best players need to be your best players, but that's why those guys make what they make. That's why they play where they play. That's why they hit where they hit in the order. It's because, you know, baseball, as hard as it is, there are a handful of guys that you can kind of count on to be your guys. Freddie Freeman has lived at the top of the order because he's a Hall of Fame player. But where you can really make a difference, where the difference between a pretty good team and a very good team, or a very good team and a championship level team, is if you do get some sort of regular production out of the bottom of the order. You win those days. If the bottom of your order is performing, you're very likely to win, because they don't all the time, right? If Shohei and Freddie and Kyle Tucker combine for 5 hits and a home run, it's like, yeah, that's what they're being paid to do. If you get 3 or 4 hits out of the bottom of your order and 1 or 2 runs scored out of the bottom, that's a differentiator between a good team and a very good team. And right now, the bottom of the order for the Dodgers, especially early in the season before the guys at the top got hot, that's just, it's a skeleton key. It just unlocks everything else when you can get production at the bottom part of the order. And like, we're 2 weeks in, it's still there. And, you know, there's going to be moments where they don't. There's going to be moments where the top doesn't. But when you can get some real production out of the bottom, and you're almost impossible to beat.
Yeah, and you want to be able to, instead of ask, can these guys actually fill into, how do you take them out? And so far, so good. 2 games in without Mookie Betts due to his injury. The Dodgers in the games in Toronto, they've looked good with this duo in the middle infield. Meanwhile, let's talk a little bit about Shohei Ohtani, because he extends his on-base streak again. It was crazy to say. Kevin Gausman, in his first 2 starts, he hadn't issued a single walk. He had struck out batters in double digits, and the first batter that he faced in this game, Shohei Ohtani, walk. I mean, are you surprised? And by the way, a walk in 4 pitches. They don't want to give nothing to Shohei Ohtani. That shows you how much pitchers are trying to stay away from Ohtani and let everybody else beat them but Shohei.
Yeah, no, look, there's one of my favorite expressions in sports is that pressure will break a pipe, right? That I don't care who you are. I don't care how good you are. When the stakes change and when everybody knows that the margins get a lot thinner, people tighten up. Kevin Gausman's a really good pitcher. Like there's no 2 ways about it. He's a very good pitcher. He wanted no part of that. Absolutely no part of that. And by the way, I don't blame him. Like, as good as Kyle Tucker is, as good as Teoscar Hernandez or Freddie Freeman, whoever's in the lineup on any given day might be, they're not that. So I do not blame him for staying away from him. The difference is it immediately puts pressure on, because Shohei can run the way that he can. Now, that's a little different because he's pitching the next day, et cetera, so he's unlikely to do it, but he still can. You still have to be aware of it. And now all of a sudden, you got traffic on the bases. You got a bigger hole over on the right side. It just kind of changes everything when guys get on base right out of the chute. But yeah, I mean, Ohtani we were talking about this yesterday on my radio show. Miguel Rojas hit the home run that we're all going to be talking about forever and ever in that 9th inning. But no one will ever be able to convince me otherwise that the reason he got the pitch he got was because Shohei Ohtani was on deck. They were not going to walk Miguel Rojas and be forced to pitch to Shohei Ohtani. They were never going to do it. Rojas had to hit his way on. he did, but the reason he got the cookie that he got was because 17 was standing on deck waiting to come up with a chance to win the game if there was somebody on base, and they were never going to do it. And last night, the stakes obviously much different, but it's the same sort of idea. Like, we're not letting Ohtani blow this game up by himself, which he almost did anyway. It just, because there's going to be enough times in the game where you have no choice but to pitch to him. But he changes everything. He changes everyone else's at-bats around him as well.
And how scared were you when Brandon Valenzuela, the catcher, threw the ball to first and accidentally hit Ohtani in the funny bone? And you heard Joe Davis say, he's hurt, Ohtani's hurt. And you heard an F-bomb from Ohtani, which you rarely hear. And I'm like, oh, God, no, please don't let it be anything. Fortunately, he continued in the game, and then he's going to be pitching today.
Yeah, and thankfully it was his left arm too, which makes it a little bit easier. But we've all whacked our funny bone on a door or a chair or whatever, and it feels like you're gonna die for about 4 seconds, and then it's like, oh, okay, it doesn't hurt anymore. So I thought when it first happened right away, I'm like, oh, I thought the catcher might have broke his fingers or something, just making that hard throw like that and whacking it on somebody's arm. But everybody was all right, thankfully. And with Ohtani, it just. I don't want to say you hold your breath because he's been incredibly durable along the way, but it just every time he's in there, you're just watching like what's going to happen next, good, bad, or anywhere in between. He's like nothing I've ever seen on a baseball field. Friendly reminder to all the Locked On Dodgers fans, enjoy this while you can, man. I know it feels like it's going to last forever, and it's going to last for a while, and it's already gotten a lot of really incredible moments, 2 for 2 World Series MVPs, but take in every single at-bat, every single night that he does his thing, because you're never seeing it again.
Take in everything Shohei does, but also everything that Kim and Freeland have been producing the way they have the last 2 games. So my question to you is, do you think the Dodgers should keep giving them everyday opportunities while they wait for Mookie to come back? Let me know what you think in the comments or hit me up on social media. Next, on Locked On Dodgers, a Mookie Betts injury update that might completely change how you feel about this team's short-term outlook.
MLB season is back, and you can feel it. Fresh starts, big expectations in that first crack of the bat, right? Whether it is a breakout rookie or a division race that goes down to the wire, there's nothing like being at the ballpark for all of it. The only problem, getting tickets can feel like a huge grind, right? Long queues, surprise fees, who knows about those, right? Prices jumping at checkout. That's where there's Game Time. The Game Time app gives fans the advantage with constant innovation. It's how you can unlock amazing tickets and experiences in just a few taps. It's super easy to use. The Game Time guarantee means that you get 100% authentic tickets delivered on time at the best price. And here is the best part. Fees are included in the price you see. What you see is what you pay. Full stop, right? And of course, you can follow your favorite team and get alerts when new deals drop. 2 taps, it's done. No stress, no hidden fees, just great seats in minutes. Take the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets with Game Time. Download that Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem the code LOCKEDON for $20 off. Download that Game Time app today.
Are you new here? Welcome. Everydayers, you already know you're the heartbeat of our show. It's easy and free to help us out. Subscribe and like our content on YouTube, drop a 5-star review on Apple or Spotify, and hit up the Locked On Dodgers listener line, 2793-LOCKED. That's 279-356-2533. Mookie Betts' injury update is way better than expected, and this is something that Dodgers fans wanted to hear. When Mookie went down with an oblique issue, you immediately thought, here we go, weeks, maybe more, but everything we're hearing is way more optimistic. Even when Dave Roberts was asked about it, 4 to 6 weeks is usually what it takes to recover from an injury like this. Dave Roberts said, I would take the under on that situation, which is good. Mookie's already running. He's playing catch. And most importantly, he's saying this feels nothing like his previous oblique injury that he had with the Red Sox. And that matters, Trav.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope he's back as soon as possible. I hope that they're, cautious to the point of almost being silly about it. I don't think that there's any need to rush him back. I think that the Dodgers know this better than anyone else, that this is a long game. This is not a short game, the marathon, not a sprint, whatever cliche you want to throw on this. They understand that. Clearly, that's how they've operated over the last couple of years to great success. Swinging a bat against major league pitching with a bat oblique is no joke. So I think you need to be really, really careful. And I wish I could snap my fingers and get Mookie back tomorrow. But here's the deal. The Dodgers are maybe the only team in baseball that could afford to have their number 3 hitting all-star Hall of Fame shortstop miss a period of time and kind of go, we're good. We'll keep it rolling. This is why they built the team that they have. This is why they're not predicated to win just because one guy is really good. They got a lot of guys that are really good. So I'd be patient. It's great news that he says he's healthy. I look forward to having him back, but I would miss on the wrong side of caution every single time on this one because they're already off to a great start. They're building a cushion. They're doing all the things that you would hope to have happen in the early part of the season. And when it comes to injuries like this, and we saw Mookie last year, he got that illness where he lost some weight and he never really recovered from it offensively, at least to look like Mookie Betts or the Mookie Betts that we've become accustomed to. So let's make sure that by the time he does come back, he's ready to go and he looks like himself, because if he is, forget about it. The Dodgers are going to run away and hide.
Yeah, if there's a team that doesn't rush players coming back from injury, it's the Dodgers, especially when you got guys like Hyeseong Kim, like Alex Freeland playing the way that they have the last couple of days. That gives you an encouraging be like, okay, take your time, recover, be back at 100%, and then we can have you. There's teams that if a player's 70%, 80%, they're like, hey, you know what? We'd rather have you in the lineup than your backup who at 100% isn't even close to your level. And right now, look, Hyeseong Kim isn't Mookie Betts. Alex Freeland isn't Mookie Betts. Miguel Rojas isn't Mookie Betts. But look, you have Kim batting 8th instead of Mookie batting 3rd, and these bats end up doing a good job. And an oblique injury, it can linger, and that's the tough part. And we spoke about, he's fielding, he's running the bases, but the important part is, can you swing that bat without any pain and be able to get contact with the ball and be able to be yourself instead of being a portion of yourself?
Yeah, a couple of things. Number one, it's not just being able to swing the bat, which is obviously a part. It's swing the bat against major league pitching. It's not just, can I get in the cage and take a few swings and feel okay? It's what happens when somebody busts me in at 99 miles an hour and I got to throw my hands up and stand up real quick and get the heck out of the way. And then, oh, by the way, I got to turn or I got to reach for that pitch that's off the plate and really go for it. It's really hard to simulate what it's like to face major league pitching in a cage or anything else, because it's the element of the unknown and everything else. So I think that's a big part of it. And even if he looks good, feels good, sounds good, until you see him in there and see him swing the bat like we hope that he will, you're kind of holding your breath a little bit. And I think it's interesting, because I don't think that you replace Mookie with Hyeseong Kim or Freeland or anything. It's the team. Somebody's going to play shortstop, but it's not a 1-for-1 swap, right? If Mookie is out, then the impetus on the rest of the offense comes up. There's a little more on Muncie's plate. There's a little more on Will Smith's plate. There's a little more on those guys that are hitting kind of towards the top of the order to kind of cover for Mookie's absence. And then the other guys, the Kims and the Freelands of the world, they got to cover for him defensively, but it's not like a 1-for-1. It's one guy's out, another group of guys is going to fill in for him. The offensive production, the pressure that comes along with that kind of falls on the top. So I don't know, you look at, well, Kim's only hitting this where Mookie would hit that. It's not quite like that. It's more, how is the top of the order performing with Mookie? How is it performing without Mookie? How's the bottom order performing, and things like that. So I don't get too caught up in this guy's doing this as opposed to that. It's what is the team collectively, and the part of the order that they were hitting, I think, is what I like to keep an eye on.
And I don't want to sound harsh, Travis, but you're replacing a guy that last year bat 258, whose on-base percentage was 326, and it's not the same Mookie Betts that carried these Dodgers to a world championship in 2020, or who was the backbone of the team also in 21, 22, 23 before Shohei Ohtani showed up, or before Freddie Freeman showed up, and it was him and 8 other players in the lineup. Right now, you actually have way more support around this team, so take your time. I like it that there's positivity, that there's good updates when it comes to Mookie Betts coming back. But if there's a time that you can actually chill, relax, and not hurry, it's right now.
Yeah, no, for sure. For sure. I agree with that completely. That this is if there was a good time to get an injury, I guess this is the good time to have the injury. And even if Mookie is maybe not the Mookie from his MVP run with the Red Sox or prime Mookie when he first came over to the Dodgers, you know, there are certain guys in the order, and there are certain guys that you're aware of that just change the way you approach them when you're pitching. And Mookie could be 0 for 1,000. When he gets into that batter's box, he has your full attention, that you know that this is a dangerous man in that batter's box in a way that Freeland is not, in a way that Kim is not, and not putting any disrespect on those guys' names at all. It's just, this is a Hall of Famer who can hurt me at any time, as opposed to this is just some guy that's in the lineup tonight and I got to get him out. And Mookie, even his mere presence adds a great deal of intimidation to that Dodger order. I'm with you. Take as much time as you need, but just seeing number 50 walk around out there makes you kind of, whoa, where is he? What's going on? It's not quite Shohei level, but it's in the neighborhood.
So how cautious would you be with Mookie Betts? Bring him back ASAP or take the extra time to make sure he's 100%? Let me know in the comments, or you already know, via @LockedOnDodgers on all our socials. All right, that'll do it for today's pod. Thank you for making Locked On Dodgers your first listen of the day, and thank you for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. We'll be back tomorrow, Thursday, as the Dodgers wrap up their road trip going for the sweep against the Blue Jays. If you never miss an episode, the Everydayer Club is built for you. Get Locked On Dodgers ad-free, plus members-only Discord access, and more. Head to LockedOnDodgers.supercast.com to join the club. Use the code FINALLY to get your first month free. For those of you on video, we send you to the first ever 24/7 National Locked On Podcast Network YouTube channel. On audio, make sure you make your second listen Locked On Fantasy Baseball. Travis and I appreciate you riding with us. Until next time, keep it real, keep it Dodger Blue.